what do you think is like the biggest mistake every writer makes, especially at the beginning when you're getting started?
I think the biggest mistake is that they don't really understand what it is they're doing when they're like building a story. And I say building specifically because like all bad screenplays have the same core problem, right? Or bad screenplays that are trying to be meaningful have the same core problem. They're not focused, right? So to make a meaningful story that like actually connects with people and moves their emotion, that requires a lot of you being very specific about what you're doing, right? But that's hard to do because it's hard to get extreme clarity on how to actually construct this story. Because it's not just like set up 15 beats and make sure your character has the inciting incident at this 10 pages and then they go here. It's like, that's a way of looking at structure, but like it's not really a holistic understanding of like, okay, what is a story fundamentally? Why have stories existed for thousands and thousands of years before even films as like a way that we communicate to each other? What's the purpose of that? And then building from there.
I think a challenge for everyone is usually you sit down to write and you just have a string out of a lot of cool ideas and you're just trying to throw every cool idea that you have and try to put it in. And for me, like as a director, I see that later on. Usually it doesn't happen as much in the script for me. Cutting down the script is easy because it's just paper. You wrote something and you go back and forth, but you can trim it down. Man, when you go and shoot something and then you have all of these scenes and now you have to cut them down just because sometimes it just doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter that the person is doing this or that you have this cool B story. But it's really challenging to be able to do that. So how have you trained yourself to be able to focus and try to be specific about the thing that you want to talk about?
So the purpose of a story is to essentially, like a story has a thesis statement, right? Like a thematic argument. Right? So it's like what makes your story meaningful is that like it has something to say about people's beliefs, right? What people believe, how they live, this sort of thing, right? And so essentially you have to start there and that being the fundamental like through line that you are building for this idea. So most people when they're starting with a script, what they are doing is they're coming in with some sort of like kind of a concept, maybe some ideas for a couple like key structural points, and then they try to like wrap it together. They add some characters, try to wrap it together, and then call it done. But they're already on the wrong foot because a story that is meaningful has a specific purpose to it, right? It has a specific thematic argument because to have a story, to have a character go through change, to have an arc, how do we actually show that arc? Well, we show it through a change in their beliefs, right? And so that's what creates this like emotional reaction to movies because you're watching somebody ultimately like fight for what they believe in, right? That's what makes them strong.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this episode, please send it to a friend. And this episode over here, I think you're really going to like it if you can check it out. And again, we'll see you in the next one.